Well, my name is Raynard Churchwell. I'm currently living in Macon, Georgia. I'm a visual storyteller for WMAZ News out here in Macon. And a little bit of what I do is right now I just mostly a lot of camera work, write scripts. I do a lot, honestly. I talk in the camera sometimes. Let's see what else. Just making connections with the community and the people, just gathering stories from everyday news. And just a little bit about me is, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And just a little about me is I'm a hard worker, always had strong work ethic, really a chill, carefree type of dude as well. But at the same time, you know, when it's time to go, it's time to grind, it's time to get it. And that's where I come in.
Well, as we mentioned off there, we have the same thing in common. We're service brats, so we get that naturally. There's no such thing as a free moment. There's always something you can do.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Well, now I get this a lot. My brother gets it even more than I do, but I'm sure you get it too. You get that. You have a voice that should be on radio or TV. You've got that timbre to it. Do you get tired of hearing that? Yeah. It's like, well, then put me on.
Well, yeah, I feel that way too, but I take it as a compliment. And, you know, I never, you know, I'll never think about it when I hear myself talk, but everybody else says that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like, well, and it's every now and then you go, well, let me take it down here a little bit, but exactly. It's just my voice. I don't do anything special. I said my brother's voice is down that low, and you're like, I can't compete with that. So I don't understand it. So. Well, let's get a little background. What are your sports, I don't want to say heroes, your sports thoughts? What gets you going when you think about sports?
It's just something I always had a passion for. Played from probably like 5 years old all the way through high school, football, basketball mostly. Tried baseball, wasn't too good at it, so stopped that after a few years. But it's just something it's just always captivated my attention. I love, you know, whether it's just debate shows or just watching the sports in general, just everything about it. And just always had dreams of playing in the big leagues, but thought I was going to be the 6'5" receiver, but didn't turn out that way. So I thought I'll just write about sports instead. So here I am.
It's funny. One of my dad's service friends was Tony Yates, who he knew him from the service. Tony Yates played on the 61-62 Cincinnati Bearcats basketball team, and then became the coach at Cincinnati, then later the coach at Illinois. When we ran into him, he was at Cincinnati, and I was 10 years old or something like that. And he said, we don't have any tall players on our team. If you grow to be 6'6", I don't even have to recruit you. You just come to campus. And I didn't grow to be 6'6".
No,
so it's funny. It's like I said, I didn't grow to be 6'6". Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even hit the 6 feet mark, so I was way off.
Yeah. Be like, just really grow a little. I have a scholarship. I just need to grow some. So, yeah. All right. So when you look at transitioning from being a participant to being the storyteller, is that something you consciously did, or is that something you were already doing?
No. Once I stopped playing sports, I knew I still wanted to be involved in sports somehow. And so I just figured, you know, I always was a strong writer, and always just love to captivate, you know, the moment and like people, you know, to tell the story so people could like visualize it in their heads. And so I just felt like, you know, both of my passions, writing and sports, went hand in hand.
And you go from being, and that's the nice thing of making people visualize what the words are saying. Mm-hmm. Is that different than visualizing what you put on video?
Yeah, I would say so, because you really have to be like very descriptive in what you write so people can like see everything, because of course you want them like to get as close to the game as possible, like from what you see with your very own eyes. So when you write about that, you know, you want to talk about the big hits and like the impact, like the atmosphere of the crowd, just like everything that makes the game what it is. And so with that, you know, you have to be conscious of, you know, your tone, of course, and how you word things.
You use fewer words when you're actually showing what they can see.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, absolutely. Because the picture is the most.
Well, my dad was right. My dad was one of those people who watch a baseball game on TV, turn the sound down, and listen to it on the radio.
Oh wow!
Because he wanted to hear the description.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That they were giving. Because you know when you listen to a game on radio, you get the full effect.
Yes, sir.
And the radio guy was giving you everything. The TV guy was like, well, what's going on? Well, he hit the ball. You heard the sound of the bat. Okay, now he's on second base. But how'd he get there? What happened? So he would listen to the radio guy to get the description and to get the more full view of everything than just watching it on the TV. Now, what he didn't realize after a while was the radio guy and the TV guy ended up being the same guy, but he didn't understand.
Oh, wow.
But the fun part of getting the idea, well, once they started consolidating jobs, but the idea of this is what I want to see, this is what I want to hear, this is what I want to feel. And I think when we get into this medium, it's tough to make that differentiation between seeing and feeling. If I lead you to something with my words, it's still personal to you.
Yes, sir.
To the reader. So you're still going to fill in the blanks. Like watching a great movie that was made from a great book, or watching a bad movie that's made from a great book. I can read a great book, and that character or characters are alive for me the way I want to see them. Even though if it was descriptive, I still see them in my head the way I want to see them. Once they make the movie, it's Joe Smith, and that's all ever it can be. James Bond is Sean Connery or whatever. Whereas when you read the books, you're like, James Bond might be a redhead. That's how you see him. It doesn't really matter. So I think the tough thing when you're doing sports is to be able to say, I'm going to create this visual palette, yet I'm still going to let people be involved in it. And there's a question coming up someplace. If you just bear with me, I'll come up with it some kind of way. But the idea being that when we do it, you have the opportunity to do what you're doing and kind of cover the gamut, you're better served than if you're just a video guy or just a writer.
Yes, sir.
You can do a better job of all of them. So when you're doing video, what's your mindset of how do I create the story?
Well, there's different strategies you can have with video. Me personally, I just like when a sports game is going on, just follow the ball. Wherever the ball goes, that's where I go. Just keep your eye on the ball all the time, and just capture, the players' emotions. Just, make people feel like they're actually at the game. Capture, the crowd, the cheerleaders, every aspect of the game. Not maybe just, it's a lot that goes into the game, like all the emotion, all the, those guys pour their hearts and their souls out on that field. So just capturing that moment, like the celebrations, everything.
So it's not just, hey, there's a game on. There are people playing the game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think that part of the problem that we have as journalists, as media members, and as fans sometimes is we don't, and I was able to talk about this with somebody a couple of days ago, is that we forget that these are human beings actually performing. And if we look at them as human beings, we get a better story.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, like whether it's like student athletes or college kids or like professionals, all of them put in a lot of work, or they all have, families they go home to every night and work hard just like the rest of us. So you got to treat, you have to treat them as such too. They're not just for our entertainment, but they deserve that level of respect as well as humans, as the rest of us.
Well, it's something that I had a chance to talk to a synchronized swimmer from Ohio State. I'm obviously from Ohio State, and a former synchronized swimmer. And I asked the question, I said, so when I was in school, you saw some guy 6'9", 240 walking across campus, settling into a chair next to you. You went, hey, basketball player. Or some guy 6'3", 250, hey, there's a football player. Does anyone recognize you as a synchronized swimmer? She's like 5'2". She said, yeah. I said, well, how? It's like, my hair's always wet.
Oh.
And so people were extrapolating for that. So people understand there's a part of the story. If you're able to get inside the story, and that's the personal aspect of it. So I was just wondering how, you convey that to people when you say it's not just following the ball. How do you really get them to understand the emotion of what they're seeing?
That's a good question. I would say just basically just with that, like I just said, trying to capture the emotion in the game, like for example, with football, after a hard hit, guys might celebrate, guys might yell, scream, coaches might chew their players out after like a mistake or something like that. Just capturing all those like little things. It's the little things that make the story. And just capturing, just the essence of the game. Maybe it's a rivalry game, like, you can feel the animosity between the two teams, just trying to get those in the shot any way possible.
Is there a line that you won't cross as far as getting up close and personal? Are there things that you don't want to show?
Yeah, yes, sir. Injuries are probably something I really don't like to show at all. For example, last job I was at, one game, quarterback broke his leg in 3 places, like horrible injury. Like his leg was like honestly just hanging there. And of course I had to cut away because of course you don't want anybody to see it. It's a 17-year-old kid, hollering in pain. So, that stuff is off limits. And, probably like with referees, like encounters with coaches and stuff like that, I try to get that off the field because coaches, they're supposed to be role models and I don't want to put them in that type of light.
Okay, now, is that something you go over when you do it in a written form though?
Honestly, when I put it in a written form, I probably just wouldn't even put those type of situations. Well, the injuries, yeah, I would tell, people, of course, if somebody's child or cousin got hurt, you want to tell like what happened, but little like fights or stuff like that, I probably wouldn't. Most of the time, unless it's like something big, I probably wouldn't use that.
Well, is it something you'd say, and I'm not trying to egg you into something, but this is kind of the thing where, there's a blow up between the officials and the coaches, and you say, okay, there's obviously the coach didn't think he was getting the right calls or something like that, and this happened at 3:47 in the third quarter, something like that, or you just gloss over that?
Well, it depends. Like, say if the coach gets ejected from the game,
right,
because they went back and forth with the rest, that's something I would have to cover. But other than that, just like regular going back and forth, probably not.
Okay. All right. Let's go back a step. You said you were a player, and then you decided that maybe you weren't going to be a player for much longer. So you start looking at how you want to do things. Now, did you start at Georgia State, or did you transfer into Georgia State? Oh
no, I still did all 4 years at Georgia State.
Okay. When you started at Georgia State, did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
No, sir. I actually did. It's funny because I started out as an accounting major, and that went horribly. So mom was like, you're getting C's and D's in school, you need to get it right, or I'm not paying for another semester. So I was like, I'm not going back home. So, I figured, what am I good at? I had to decide, what am I good at? So I just figured I've always been a solid writer. I liked English. So I switched to journalism, and I fell in love with it. Not just the writing either, just the cameras and whether it was news, whether it was photography, just every aspect of it.
There's something about being around the activity and not being a part of the activity. I mean, you are, but you aren't. You're still involved, but you can still distance yourself at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you're transitioning through, and we're going to get to what we were talking about before we started here, as you're transitioning through, say you're coming up on junior year, senior year. Now I got to think about, I got to get a job. What's the process? I know it's different than when I was in, because that was, back when we were writing stories on stone tablets or whatever. But when you're thinking about, when I get out of school, what would I love to do, and what am I going to be able to do to give people that are watching this that are fresh a little perspective?
Yes, sir. Well, my story is a little different because really, this is one of my regrets. I know I didn't do enough in college. That was my problem. Like with me, I went to class, I did Georgia State TV, I went home, that was it. Went to work, that was it. I didn't join any clubs or anything like that, which that's how you make the connections to get those jobs that you want. And so pretty much after I did my internship, I did an internship at College Park, Georgia at City Hall. I couldn't find a job at all. I was working at a grocery store and doing freelance work at a newspaper, both doing that part-time. And so it just was a grind for me. Many times I felt like quitting. It's so funny because this time last year I was just ready to join the Army. I was just tired of it, working at the grocery store. I was just sick of it. And so just the job in Texas actually just gave me a call, and I was on my way. And that's just really how I came up. Just something in me wouldn't let me quit. And that's what it's going to take. You're going to feel like people, well, with me, I know people weren't more talented than me, but they were getting the jobs with CNN and Good Morning America when I was at the grocery store. And, you know, that hurt. And like, I use it as motivation till this day. And so with that, you know, you just got to keep grinding this. I knew this was something I wanted, and I wouldn't let anybody stop me.
Well, it's something that I've said any number of times, and I hope it's true. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's, I don't know. If you have a passion for what you're doing and you're willing to grind, so that those seem to be opposite things. But if you're able to grind with the passion, eventually something good is going to turn out of it. It may not be the eventually that you think it's going to be next week or 4 days from now, but it's hard for everyone to turn you down when you, and add in also the intelligence to do it, when you have the passion for what you're doing, which means you'll put in the hours, you'll put in the time, you'll do overtime if that's something you deem as necessary. Not that someone's going to make you do it, but if it's something you go, I'm going to go to this class, or I'm going to do this thing, or work on these skills. And again, this I think is a service upbringing as well. I'm just going to go ahead and grind away.
Yes, sir.
And when you're able to do that, the phone call comes.
Yes, sir.
So when the phone call came after the grind, after the work in the grocery store, after thinking I may join the Army, what's the first thing that went through your head when they offered you a position? You went, someone's going to employ me to do what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the first thing that pops in your head?
Just a great amount of joy, just vindication, really. You know, like I said, I thought about giving it up. I was just going to join the military, get my benefits, but I knew I wouldn't have been happy doing that. And so just when I got offered that job, you know, it felt like, you know, if somebody actually sees like the talent in me that I saw in myself, and just, you know, giving me that opportunity, which I knew would lead to bigger things like it has now with the news station. It was just a blessing all around. And the station that actually I worked for a newspaper in Texas. That was my first full-time job. And so with them, I just told them, till to this day, I'm forever grateful for the opportunity. And I still read the newspaper every week from them just because of that, because I'm loyal to them and they gave me a shot when nobody else would. So just glory to God, and just thanking them all around.
So you go from that position, from having the thought of, I may not even be able to do this. And now it's like, I may move on to something else.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Because now is it because there's a confidence built in you and some, like you said, some vindication and validation.
Yes, yes, sir, absolutely.
So now what after the newspaper, or during the newspaper, what's the next step?
Basically just learning everything I could. I just had to be a sponge. Of course, I had freelanced at a newspaper, but I didn't know like the day-to-day operations of it. And so just learning, not just the writing part, but, you know, learning how to do photography for sports, learning how to do sports photography, learning how to just build relationships with the coaches and the star players. Just learning, you know, branching out to the community, learning like the businessmen who support the paper and who don't. And pretty much that was the biggest thing. They showed me a tremendous amount of love and respect out there. I wrote a column every week called Raynard's Raps, where I just told about, you know, try to give a life lesson through a sports story. And they loved it. Like the old ladies would tell me all the time, you know, how much they enjoyed my stories. And so, and, you know, that meant a lot to me. You know, it might sound small to everybody else, but, you know, that meant a lot to me, you know, where I came from, you know, stocking those shelves every night, not knowing whether I would get a shot or not, just to hear people say, you know, they enjoy what I do, you know, that means a lot.
Well, and you know the way this business works, that it's rare that you have one job. It's rare that you go, I graduated from college, I got my job, and 45 years from now, I'm going to retire doing that job. It's because other venues open up to you. And like I said, now you're with the TV station, other things happen. And when, you know, now that people have seen what you're capable of doing, they go, hey, we'd like to have him over here. So did you actively pursue this, or was it kind of a mutual thing if someone said, let's look at this guy for WMAZ?
Yeah, it's funny because I know like I was in Texas. I know I wanted to be closer to home because I'm from Georgia. And so pretty much applied to everything in like pretty much the Southeast region, hit Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina pretty hard. And it's funny because the job I have now, I didn't even apply for it. I applied for, the job I have now is a visual storyteller. I actually applied for a multimedia journalist position, but they said that position was already filled. But we have this one. If you want to apply for it, you can go ahead. And so I did, and I got the interview, and felt like I did a good job. And well, actually, let me take that back. It's funny because there was a talking part and a written part in the interview, and the written part I had a few typos, so I was like, oh, I thought I messed up. I'm not going to get the job, so I was like down on myself. And so then a few weeks later, they told me, we'd like to offer you this position, and I couldn't be happier. Mom was crying because I was close at home. She was emotional. Everybody told me she was proud of me. They were proud of me, and so here I am.
Isn't it a wonderful thing? First, if you can get that, I'm going to say this in a weird way. If you can make mom cry in a positive way, I made mom cry in a negative way a few times too. If you can make mom cry in a positive way, it's like, I'm done. I don't have, what else do I have to achieve? So that's pretty cool. Now, so you're back near home.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You're able to work there. Mm-hmm. Does it feel like I've got it made, or there are more steps to go?
Oh no, sir. I just feel like I'm just getting started. Even at the news station and my career, I know I still have a long way to go to where I want to get to. Because like I told them, the ultimate goal is working for the NFL. And so with that, I'm going to continue to just be a sponge like I was at the newspaper, just soaking up everything, whether it's, the camera work, I'm writing scripts now. I never did that before. Just putting together videos for the news station, and just learn to perfect that until I see something, another opportunity come by.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who is just getting done with their playing career and decided to flip this to more of a media side thing? The idea of you can get there, but you have to keep these things in mind. Maybe things that you didn't see, or maybe things that you did see.
Mm-hmm. Well, rule number one is you just got to keep going. There's going to be people that discourage you. Those interviews, some are going to turn you down. And that doesn't mean, you're not good enough. That just means it wasn't the right job for you, and everything happens for a reason. And so you just got to keep pushing. If it's something that you want to do, you can't let anybody stop you. You got to want it in your heart. It's not, nobody, as you can see with my story, nobody gave me anything. Nobody gave me a handout saying, here's the job for you. I had to take everything that I wanted. And just something else, just keep practicing. Even when I was working at the grocery store, I was seeking out freelance opportunities. I worked with Nuts and Bolts Sports, where I was able to cover bowl games and Elite 11 tournaments, and with some of the top high school quarterbacks in the nation, those type of things, which gave me great experience, and I'm thankful for them too. And so, like I said, if it's something you want, you just got to pursue it any way you can. So that's what I would tell them.
And at the end of the rainbow, you get to make mom happy.
Yeah, exactly. Most important thing.
There you go. Well, Raynard, thank you very much for sharing your story. Where can the people find you if they want to check up on more of what you're doing and what you're going to do in the future?
Okay, yes, sir. Facebook, you can find me Raynard Churchwell. Twitter and Instagram, my name is ObeyRay25_. And you can find me on WMAZ.com. Under my bio, just send me an email. And just all that, I'll be sure to always respond. So if you feel you need to ask me anything, they can ask me.
And now you are officially a mentor.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being with us.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.